they'd be number one. Right now, if they could rap or sing along with their incredible dancing in the 90s, there's no doubt in my mind that they would be probably the biggest drawing act in the world.
The most amazing, amazing dancers I ever seen in my life. Ever.
Oh, and what do you do for a living?
Oh, we sell lucky numbers. Yeah.
Sell lucky numbers? You can't sell lucky numbers over the radio. No, what else do you do?
Oh, we sing, we dance.
All right, let me hear you sing.
Lucky number, oh, dreaming of lucky numbers, hoping that those lucky numbers will show for me. Numbers gonna show for you and me.
The Nicholas Brothers, Harold and Fayard, are acknowledged to be one of the greatest dance teams ever. Their career spanned over 60 years, and yet their story has never been told.
Can you sing? Can you dance? Well, I'll take a chair.
From the moment they stepped out on the stage, the Nicholas Brothers have stopped shows all over the world. The Nicholas Brothers and their sister Dorothy spent much of their early childhood in Philadelphia, where their parents led the orchestra of the Standard Theater, a vaudeville house catering to black audiences. This was the world that the Nicholas Brothers grew up in.
I was told when I was born, my mother used to take me to the theater in the bassinet, and she sit me right beside the piano as she was playing, and my dad was playing, and the rest of the orchestra. So I guess that's how I got rhythm.
I had memories of my daddy and my mommy. Not mommy, my mother. When they were working in a theater, you know, in Philadelphia. And they used to come home, and my brother would be talking to him about how he enjoyed the show, because he used to go to the theater there practically every day and watch the dances and things, you know. I guess maybe he's told you this, or you've heard it before.
He taught me some steps, and we used to do things together, and we would show Mother and Dad. But obviously, I was not anxious enough about it, as Fayard was. So then he said, I'm going to start teaching Harold.
I was showing him a step, and he was having trouble getting this step. So I saw that he was having trouble. So I said, listen, we'll do it tomorrow. I see you having a little trouble now. And he said, no, I want to do it now. I said, now listen to me. We'll do it tomorrow. All right? He said, no, I want to learn it now. I said, okay. So I started teaching him again. And we went on and on for an hour. He finally got it.
All I did was follow him. I followed him and tried to do what he asked me to do and what he wanted to teach me to do.
While Dorothy decided not to pursue a dancing career, Harold and Fayard began to develop a unique partnership. Fayard created routines for himself and his brother, inspired by the acts they had seen at the Standard.
At the Standard Theater, I saw the Berry Brothers, Leonard Reed and Willie Bryant, Buck and Bubble.
The rhythm's okay in Harlem, and they swing it along. Yes, the rhythm's okay in Harlem, Bob-bib-de-bib-bob-de-bob-ba-doo.
I enjoyed them immensely. And I remember I would go to our apartment, the Gibson apartment, and I would start trying to do steps that I saw the other dancers do in the living room. And I would dance from the living room into the kitchen, and from the kitchen on the fire escape. So I was dancing all over the place. And my father saw me as I was practicing, and he was a great influence on me. He said, son, he said, what you're doing, it's great. I like it. He said, but don't do what the other dancers do. Do your own thing. I said, okay, Dad. All right. And he said, listen, when you perform, don't look at your feet. Look at that audience, because you're entertaining them, not yourself. I said, okay, Dad. Fine. And he said, that's something that you do I like very much. I said, what is that, Dad? He said, I like the way you use your hands. He said, do more of that. I said, okay, Dad.
My mother and daddy decided to manage us because once they saw us doing a routine or something, they decided to manage us and quit their job as head of the orchestra in the Standard Theater in Philadelphia. And they were going to manage us. I guess they saw something there also. So we went from there. That's when it started. Things started growing bit by bit, from getting in vaudeville show, you know, in the theaters.
The Lincoln Theater. It was on the corner of Biddle and Pennsylvania Avenue. And that's where I first met the Nicholas kids. Fayard, his sister, and Harold. And his mother and father played the orchestra. They were in the pit. She was the pianist and he the drummer. And that was my first encounter with the Nicholas brothers. They did a very... I don't remember how good or how bad. All I know is they stopped the show. And my partner and I couldn't get on. In these theaters, they had different acts. And we had to wait. We had to wait. They were applauding so for the Nicholas kids. And then they brought out Harold, who could hardly walk out, to do the encore. And that just made it worse. We hardly got on at all. When we did get on, they were still applauding for the Nicholas kids.
Chicago was hearing about us. New York was hearing about us. Baltimore was hearing about us. And every city you can mention, hearing about the Nicholas kids or the Nicholas brothers.
Nicholas Brothers' debut in New York was at the Lafayette Theater. It was at 131st Street and 7th Avenue. And they were seen there by someone, and they went into the Cotton Club.
Harlem's Uptown Cotton Club was the showcase for top black artists and fashionable white-only audiences.
First played the Cotton Club in 1930. It was on the same side of the street as the Savoy Ballroom, and on a corner of 142nd Street. Over top of it was the Cotton Club, over top of this theater. And just next to the theater, there was a small entrance, and the entrance upstairs. When you got there was good fare, nice one. Herman Stark said he's got these kids, and he's going to give them a shot. And it did, that's all. That's all. He came in and they put them in the show. And they did a fabulous job.
The same year as their Cotton Club debut, the brothers traveled to Brooklyn to make their first film.
Well, my brother and I, we always wanted to make movies, and now we were going to make this short for Warner Brothers. And with the bright lights and the camera there, which was different from stage. Much different, yes.
Well, because naturally, you had an audience when you work on the stage. But in front of the cameras, you have no audience. All you have is a camera.
Yeah, so the camera was the audience.
Yeah, so you have to get that feeling up.
That feeling, if they were really out there.
Listen, I
I don't remember anything about Farsight Blackbird, but I'm sure you do because you used to tell me about it all.
Yes, I did, didn't I?
What do you
Oh,
remember
wait a
about
minute.
it?
Let me refresh my memory.
I tried to, but every time I look at it and see it, I just can't. It doesn't come back to me. I don't know why.
Oh, you don't?
But, wait a minute. What's that? There's something we do, the part we do with Nina Mae McKinney. When we were in the kitchen.
Yeah, she's in the kitchen
I
baking this pie.
vaguely remember.
And we come in, we were outside playing, little boys with our short trousers.
What is that, Miss Nina? Now listen, Gates, you run along and chase yourself. This pie ain't ready yet.
Well, what kind of pie is that, Miss Nina?
That's the blackbird pie.
A blackbird pie? There ain't no such thing as a blackbird pie.
The Nicholas brothers soon became as closely associated with the Cotton Club as Cab Calloway, Ethel Waters, and Duke Ellington, and it would be their home for the next 2 years.
Many Broadway stars and many Hollywood stars would always come to the Cotton Club. And I said to Herman Stokes, who was the manager of the Cotton Club, and then became our manager. So I said, I'd like to go out there and meet these stars. He said, okay, go on out there. So after the show, we would go out and go right to the table of whoever would be there. It was George Raft, or Tallulah Bankhead, or Eleanor Powell. We go down and say, hello. And they say, hello, sit down. What would you have? I said, we'd like to have some orange juice.
Tallulah Bankhead came to see a show we were in, and she called us and wanted us to come out and see her, because we were the only ones that could go out front and sit and talk in the audience, with the people, because we were youngsters anyway. And she said, oh, you're wonderful, I love you. Well, thank you very much. And I said, oh, we love you too. She said, when is your birthday? And I told her, such and such. Well, how would you like a picture of me? I'd love a picture of you. Yes? Oh, that's nice. Would you like a bicycle? And I floated in and said, yeah, I would love a bicycle. So, well, which would you prefer, the picture or the bicycle? I said, I'd like them both if I could have them. She laughed and said, oh, darling, you shall have both of them. And the very next day, the postman rang, and there was a bicycle and a big photograph of Tallulah Bankhead. And I rode that bicycle all over Harlem. Everybody knew about that bicycle.
They didn't allow black people to come into the Cotton Club in those days, uptown. Didn't care how much money you had. If you came up, if you rode up there in a limousine with diamonds and everything, the doorman would stop you. And the doorman was black. And he'd fight you if you tried to go into the Cotton Club. Those were his orders. So I didn't like that at all. There was nothing I could do about it. But I think my brother and I really started something that was good, even though we were just little kids. When I asked Herman Stokes if I could go out and meet all these great stars, and he said, go. And then when I got a little older, I said, maybe the reason why we could go out there because we were just little kids. But I'm glad we did go out there because we could show them that black people had class.
By the time the Cotton Club moved downtown to Times Square, the Nicholas brothers were headliners.
A Cotton Club show was a show that was made up of actors, singers, dancers, and they made 3 huge ensemble numbers in every show. And then the acts were between.
For an encore, Cab Calloway would say to my brother, come on out here. I heard that you do an impression of me.
Here's a very entrancing phrase. What about it? It will put you in a daze. To me it don't mean a thing, but it's got a very peculiar swing. Dancing, 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 dancing.
about the Nicholas Brothers, and in 1934, producer Sam Goldwyn summoned them to appear in the Eddie Cantor picture Kid Millions. Other movie parts followed. Soon, they were traveling back and forth between the East and West Coasts. They made their Broadway debut in Ziegfeld Follies of 1936 with Fanny Brice, Josephine Baker, and Bob Hope.
When we were coming up, I mean, we were not like most of the other dancers when they were together, brother act. No. Or dancing acts together, which they used to argue and fight all the time. But we never did that, I mean. No, we didn't. Sure, we may have disagreement about this and that, you know. Yes, I don't like that step, or that ain't the right step or something. No, we never did say that. It never got into fist fights or anything. No. Never. Man, I would have beat you up.
The same year they did the Ziegfeld Follies, they crossed the Atlantic for the first time.
We went to England on the boat, and I got sick. I was sick all the way, practically. I remember that. But it was nice, playing shuffleboard and all that stuff. And we were going over there for a review. Lou Leslie's Blackbirds. We were going to do that show over there. We were really almost a novelty, you know, so to speak, over there, because they hadn't seen so many black people at one time, much. And it was nice. But everybody was, you know, they were just normal, treating everybody wonderfully.
Returning to America, they were featured in the hit Rodgers and Hart Broadway musical Babes in Arms, choreographed by George Balanchine. At the same time, they performed at the nearby Cotton Club well into the night. Afternoons were spent being privately tutored at their apartment in Harlem's exclusive Sugar Hill. By now, established stars in mainstream show business, the brothers had become the pride of the black community.
They went outside of the art for us. They were symbols. They meant something. They meant a great deal to our community, to young blacks especially here. I don't know about the outside world, but they were our heroes at that time. Still are, you know. People like Bill Robinson and the Nicholas Brothers and Joe Louis, and you know, they stick out in our minds as the people who inspired us and who we looked up to, you know, during those hard days in this country.
Back in the Depression days when they got their start, many performers, of course, yearned to be like the Nicholas Brothers. I wanted to be like the Nicholas Brothers. I wanted their success. I wanted to look like them and act like them and make that kind of money. In a large town like New York or Chicago, you would see a very important film advertised, and on the marquee it would announce the presence of the black performers, even though they were only on the screen for 2 or 3 minutes. That meant the world to the black community, of course.
People would say that we reminded them of the Nicholas Brothers, and that, or we would be the next Nicholas Brothers. And so I hadn't seen them yet, but I was aware of them. I think in my little mind, I figured they must be great, because I thought we were pretty good, and I figured they must be great. And so I thought that that was going to be, we were going to be the next Nicholas Brothers, until I saw them. And then when I saw them, I realized that nobody was going to be the next Nicholas Brothers, least of all my brother and I.
When people come to me and tell me, isn't Michael Jackson a great dancer? I said, what? What are you talking about? Did you see him get up on his toes? What are you talking about? Pastor Louis did that. The Nicholas Brothers did that. Don't come to me and tell me something that's going to make me become truly angry that you don't do your history, especially as black dancers, and don't know where that greatness comes from. That comes from those people who came before us. And the Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, all these dancers that are supposed to be dancers now don't come close to the Nicholas Brothers.
In 1939, following a South American tour, they were signed by Fox to appear in the musical Down Argentine Way, teaming up for the first time with dance director Nick Castle.
When we went to the rehearsal hall to meet Nick Castle, because he was the choreographer for the whole picture with everybody, and he greeted us and said, "Oh, I'm so happy to meet you guys." He says, "Now there's somebody who can do my ideas. I know you can do my ideas, because all I'm doing here is with the little starlets, a 1 and a 2 and a 3." And he says, I got so much in me. I want it to come out. He says, "I know you can do my ideas." The audience in the theater, after a sneak preview of Down Argentine Way, were whistling and stomping their feet and clapping their hands, that the operator in the projection room had to rewind the film and show it over again. And because of that, 20th Century Fox gave us a 5-year contract.
They collaborated with Nick Castle on 5 more films for 20th Century Fox. Tin Pan Alley, The Great American Broadcast, Sun Valley Serenade, dancing with Harold's future wife, Dorothy Dandridge, Orchestra Wives, and the pièce de résistance in the all-star, all-black feature, Stormy Weather. The studio saw them only as a specialty act, brought on for an energizing 4 or 5 minute routine. As black artists, they were never made an integral part of the plot or given lines to speak, but these brief appearances made them internationally famous.
They're so much ahead of classical dance. They did need it, you know. What's extraordinary that you recognize their style. They opened so many doors to so many people. In later years, look at this. You recognize their style in breakdancing. You recognize their steps in rap. You recognize that, you know, those things would never be able. They are the chain. They are the chain, and that's why their art is so important.
Yo, sound the bell. School is in, sucker. Can't touch this.
But you know one thing?
Right.
I don't like the way that they videotape some of the dancers.
No?
You know, it seems as though they just say, whoever it is, what's his name? J.C. Hammer?
Hammer?
Yeah.
Not J.C.
What is
MC.
Oh, is him? Oh, MC.
But he's cut out the
He's cut.
MC.
So he's
It's
just
Hammer.
Hammer.
If you could hide and watch me watch them, you would see that it takes me to, I'd be like a kid in a candy factory, because when I see these moves executed, it's thrilling. It's funny. It's funny that they could think of doing that particular move. and I'd be rolling all around the room. Every time I put the pause button and laugh and giggle and then try to do it.
He's going into his thing. All of a sudden, they cut to something else. Just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, for me, with Hammer, it's all right, because it's exciting every time, whatever they do with it. Because he's moving all the time, you know. He's gone, he's working, and the feet work and everything. And, but some of the others, who don't dance as well as he does during that type of dancing and stuff, it gets, it sort of...
I know, it's kind of junky like.
You don't have to do quick cuts. You do quick cuts when dancers can't dance. I'm in video world. I know what they do. You don't need quick cuts for the Nicholas Brothers. You let them do, and they score. Makes it easy for a director when you have greatness. When you have greatness, let's cut to the middle of their body because their legs don't go up, and you know, I don't understand that. What's wrong with their arms? Let's get a shot of the underarm. I know. I've heard them talk in meetings. See, but the Nicholas Brothers, you know, they say, let them dance. And then we got a great video there.
A-L-A-M-A-C-O. What a gal, a real pipper. She's a fine chick. I'm gonna make my bid for the freckle-faced kid I'm hurrying to. Going to Michigan to see the sweetest gal in Kalamazoo.
I don't like the term flash act. And I remember in a movie, I think that's Entertainment, I think Mr. Davis, Sammy Davis, said they were a flash act. And that was the term for those kind of acts. They did sort of acrobatics and stuff. To me, the Nicholas Brothers were never flash because they did close floor work too. They could do everything. And I don't like labels. And I certainly didn't like the label about my favorite and my greatest. What? Put them in a category. Flash was trivializing them. They were never trivialized to me. They did everything. So how could you put them in a label? You know? Imagine what the Nicholas Brothers could have done had they had the opportunity. Oh, it's frightening. But maybe that's why they weren't given the opportunity.
You talk about your Donald O'Connells and Sammy Davis Jr. and many of the other entertainers. He has it. He does everything. Just like they do. Only he does it better.
People probably would say Fred Astaire was a natural dancer, you know, because he danced from head to toe. So like I always say that if my brother, you know, got together with Fred Astaire, it would be one Fred Astaire or one Fayard Nicholas, because I think that they were that close.
Those acrobatics, elements of acrobatics, were never intentionally to punch audience to the face. They were always emotionally attached to the dance. They knew exactly where the climax of the dance, where they can really dance easy and cool, and when they are a smack audience across the face, when they tease the audience, they were, and that's a sign of just a true choreographic minds.
Ding, 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 ding. They just come down off of people's tables, you know, people are sitting at tables, and they hit on the stairs. Bop. I mean, it's great. That's great. The dance hasn't even started yet. So now, once they start the dance, they go into it. It's very jazzy. I remember, you know, it's like, it's very jazzy, and they're very relaxed. They're just dancing, nice and easy, and they're just setting the thing up that they're going to now dance. And then when they go over to where the bandstand is,
They move over to the bandstand, and as soon as they jump up there, I mean, now they're painting another picture. You know, I forget, I think the music at that point was, and they're going, now we're building, and now they jump off of that, and that's the first time they jump into splits. And now we haven't even warmed up yet, but they jump off that thing into splits and come up. Now they go up these stairs up on the landing there, and at that point I thought that this is where the number was going to end, because it was pretty, they've been dancing a while. Then they jump on a piano top, and at that point in the number, I think even now, just to show that, where they jump on that piano top, it's one of the most powerful, it's real power tap dancing, because they jump on the piano goes, and they do something like, and then after that, then they jump off the piano. Now we're jumping from another higher level. Now it's not just the band, now it's off the piano, they jump into splits. So now they move along, they move out of there, and they move into this area where in the back of them is this big thing. And, you know, at that point, I thought maybe my heart might burst. Even now, when I see them go in front of that thing, I think to myself, you know, what are they going to do? The way they would perform and the way they would project themselves was pure class. That's all it was.
We did vaudeville. We did nightclubs. We did movies. We did television. We, like I said before to other people who have interviewed us, that we have done everything in show business except opera. And all these things that I wanted to do has come true.
Did you ever want to do opera?
Oh, yes. I do a tap dance in opera and say, oh, soul on me, yo.
A tap dance in opera.
The full range of their talents was showcased in the Broadway musical St. Louis Woman. Harold Arlen gave Harold Nicholas a rare opportunity to perform a song which would become a standard.
all the great songs that were written in those days. When I was coming up, I learned them all. I was young, but I knew all the songs. All of Duke Ellington, Harold Arlen, and Johnny Mercer, and all those people. All those songs I knew, you know. But I never got a chance to really sing them like I wanted to on the stage in front of an audience or something, you know. So that was kind of hard for me because I thought about it a lot, you know. Why won't they let me sing? Because we were dancers, they said, you know. And that was it. I wanted to, though.
When you start talking about Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly, you know, why do people not say, you know, and Harold and Fayard Nicholas, you know? Why don't they say that? You know, it's something that it bubbles inside of me.
We were doing the Pirate, the movie with Gene Kelly and Vincent Minnelli directing. And we had a routine to do with Kelly where we all, in synchronization, you know, just the three of us doing the same thing. It was Gene Kelly's routine, you know. And so we learned that. And we were rehearsing one day. And naturally, me, I don't put my heart and soul into rehearsals. You know, I'm doing it just like, you know, lackadaisical and all that. And Kelly looks at me, he says, Harold, what's the matter with you? I said, what do you mean? He said, you're not doing a routine. I said, well, I know it. He says, what do you mean you know it? Because he and my brother were doing the routine like the cameras were rolling, you know, and everything. And they were perspiring and carrying on. He said, oh, man, we're working our heads off, and you just moping along. I said, but I know the routine. He says, you don't know it. You can't know it. We're doing like that. I said, Fayard, Gene Kelly, let's sit down and watch him do the routine. He says he knows it, but I bet he doesn't. Let him do it. So I says, oh, Dad, okay, I'll do it. Bam, music strikes up. To the routine, bang, 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 what? Everything, right to the very end, you know, like we were going on camera or something. And I finished it, da-da, I said, how's that? And Gene Kelly was so mad, he didn't know what to do.
They were who they were at a time, and as gifted as they were, at a time when it was exceptional, unusual, but was not to be tolerated by a lot of people who didn't feel that they should get too far. And I hate to put this on that basis, but unfortunately that's what has existed throughout the United States. If you get too good, they won't hire you.
The fact that one black was making it at that time, Sammy Davis Jr., does not change the fact that the reason that the Nicholas brothers didn't make it is because there wasn't room for more than just one black. There was room for a Fred Astaire and a Gene Kelly and a Ginger Rogers and a host of others, but only one black. And his wasn't the movements of a Nicholas brothers. The Nicholas brothers would have been a threat to a Fred Astaire or a Gene Kelly. Because if I can walk on air, it's great if I'm the only one who can do it. But if two more guys come in here and they both can walk on the air and they walk a little higher in the air than I do, then what I do isn't so fantastic anymore.
Work was getting pretty scarce, shall we say, you know. And we'd work here and there, but it wasn't weekly or constantly like it was before. So we said, and to fight that and the racism, I mean, it was heavy, you know. So we said, ooh, the minute we got a chance to go to Europe, we jumped at it, you know, and went over there and stayed. First time we stayed 4 years, you know, and just had a ball because of the difference, you know, in the way that you're treated. It was fantastic, you know, especially for me. I said, hey, what is going on? This is great, you know, because nobody just said, no, your money's not good enough, you know, because your color's not right. No, we never got anything like that, you know. So naturally, you automatically love this. Why not? So I wanted to stay.
After several years touring Europe, Harold embarked on a solo career, remaining in Paris, whilst Fayard returned to Los Angeles.
I got homesick. I wanted to come home, see my family. So I told my brother, I want to go home. He said, well, wait, you're going home and take care of the business. I'll come later. So I went back home, and he stayed in Europe, I think, 7 years. 7 years before we got together again.
Welcome back. How was it in Gay Paris? Very good, very good. Do you remember this step? Step? Yes. Yeah. Wait it now. Not too much. 7 years is a long time now. Cool it. Take it easy. I think I can get into that. Come on, let's try it together. Are you ready? I'm ready. Oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone. Huh? What was that? Same step with just a little French accent.
Following their reunion, they continued to work on TV and in nightclubs. Tragically, Fayard developed arthritis, and even walking gave him great pain.
I was working with my brother when I had this arthritis. And we were doing a tour with Sammy Davis Jr. And I was in so much pain, still trying to do those splits. So my brother, he saw the trouble that I was having. And so he said, don't do that. Don't do those splits. He said, just let me do it. He said, you just use your hands. And when I go down, you go down with my hands, and then you bring me up with your hands. I said, all right, thank you, thank you.
Now that he's had the hip replacement, he can move, he can get around. He can't dance like like you say, dancing, but he can do a few things, and which makes it wonderful. And I used to feel very hurt myself watching him, because that's his life. Dancing was his.
So I had 2 hip replacements. And I guess you could call me the $6 million man. Because now I'm walking better and dancing a little bit. Well, I'll show you what I mean.
Today, Harold continues an active solo career on stage and screen. Fayard, semi-retired, recently accepted a Tony Award for co-choreographing Broadway's Black and Blue and makes frequent personal appearances. But the Nicholas brothers still still get together for special occasions.
I think that their political statement came out in their art, in their craft, because we, as black people who did not have those opportunities or have that, needed to see that existed, and needed to see that was a goal that one could aspire to. If the Nicholas Brothers could be defined by any one thing, which they can't, I think the Stormy Weather number can just hold up. You know, it is like Shakespeare. Generation after generation will be amazed at what they do.
I would still like to have had my own show.
Uh-huh.
Or my own movie, or, you know, a movie for me.
Well,
featuring me, Harold Nicholas, and...
Hal Nicholas?
Yeah, you know.
And his brother.
Something like that.
Started at the Cotton Club, but it was nothing other than they were a great act. People liked them. They loved them. They established it there, and they have maintained it over a period of 60 or 70 years. That's a remarkable thing.
If they had all of that in this point in time, all of that energy and all of that creativity, God knows what they would be doing, man. These cats would be levitating. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they would be doing. There's nobody like that. There really isn't, you know?
See, I was speaking for both of us.
No,
Yes.
you're not. No, the thing is, you have to speak for yourself, because that's what
Oh, yeah, that's
people
what they want to know.
and
Yes.
see. And then I speak for myself.
Well, then I...
But that doesn't mean that we're not still brothers.
Oh, yeah,
You know.
When they dance together, it's magical. And anybody that's got any emotion and any feeling and any truth to themselves will react truthfully to that and give them the standing ovation they deserve.
Love to each other, to the audience, a great dignity in them. They were always Nicholas Brothers. They never stepped down. They stepped many stairs down, but never stepped down in who they are, who they were, and who they are now.
Say, let's reminisce a little bit and show a film clip when we were younger. Much younger. Because if you're thinking of the same one I am, we were much younger. That's the one. All right. That's the one I'm thinking of. All right, let's get to it. Well, let's do it.
know him best as the host of Entertainment Tonight. But did you know that John Tesh is a multi-Grammy award-winning composer? See him do what he does best as he performs live at Red Rocks with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra. Coming Saturday, February 25th at 8 p.m., right here on WLIW.
Yeah.